Okay. At this time, I'd like to open the open workshop, February 28, 2018. It is 5:35 p.m. I will take a roll call. Trustee Alonso.
Present.
Trustee Cruden.
Present.
Trustee Desmond.
Here.
Trustee Finnerty.
Here.
Trustee Munoz is absent. Trustee Ryan.
Here.
Trustee Uduado.
Here.
Vice President Wilbeck is absent. President Broderick.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. At this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to the superintendent.
Thank you, Dr. Mader. Good evening, everyone. First, I would ask everyone to please join me in a moment of silence for the victims of Parkland, Florida massacre. Thank you. Now, everyone is aware of the recent devastation and loss of life inflicted upon innocent children and adults. Even though the disaster occurred far from Bayonne, it has affected all of us. Our safety teams have been meeting to refine our procedures and make recommendations for new initiatives. Just yesterday, we began with the cooperation of Mayor Davis and Chief Sisk, a park and walk program in Bayonne. Each day, a police cruiser will go to a school, park in front, and the officer will walk the building and the perimeter. I met Monday to critique the February 23rd occurrence at Bayonne High School with Mr. Copez, Mr. Baccarella, the administrators that were present, our security officers, and cops in schools. We will always be doing a critique and after any event so that we could refine our methods and procedures and make sure any improvements are put in place while it's fresh in our minds. We are also exploring more options to move our 11 elementary schools as well as the high school from soft targets to hard targets. As always, the safety of our children is our first priority. For example, yesterday, Mr. Copez and I met with Mayor Davis, Public Safety Director Kubert, Police Chief Sisk, City Attorney Coffey, and others to discuss the possibility of assigning a police officer to each school. We have developed a multi-leveled action plan for school safety, which Mr. Copez will explain. He will also share with you his committee work to improve the delivery of home instruction. With this new delivery system, he is actually cutting the cost of home instruction in half as well. Mr. Copez?
Thank you, Superintendent. As Dr. Walko stated, we have been assessing our security and safety protocols and our plan to implement new initiatives and practices for the protection of our children and staff. Our school safety teams meet monthly, and this Monday, Dr. Walko, as stated, and I met with Principal Baccarella and our school security to critique our performance from Friday's PHS incident. Some of our newer initiatives we are looking at, such as the resolution that you have in front of you tonight. We have been working with Shield 32 consultant Kevin Craig, who was a member of the State Task Force for Safe Schools. Mr. Craig is currently doing an audit of all of our school security plans, drills, and procedures. There are 91 elements required by the state, and we are evaluating each and every one very closely. Also, we are looking to install metal detectors in each one of our elementary schools and the ice rink. And look forward to purchasing more wands to screen for weapons. We're planning for ways to construct a physical security access system, such as a security vestibule at each one of our main entrances. We have met with Simplex, who handles our doors, alarms, and IDs at the high school, and we are looking into options to upgrade our Bayonne High School ID system. We're sending members of our safety teams to receive training in option-based responses that districts are using throughout the country. Last week, we had a presentation by Meraki security cameras. These cameras have the ability to view video anytime, anywhere, on any device. We would no longer have to use a special viewing station, and there is no new software to install and maintain. This system would also give us the opportunity to stream live to our police department. And as Dr. Wanko stated yesterday, we met with Mayor Davis, Chief Sisk, Public Safety Director Cooper, and City Attorney Coffey, and they have begun recruiting retired Bayonne police officers to hire Class 3 special law enforcement officers and to place one of these officers in each of the elementary schools and 3 at Bayonne High School. The Class 3 officer will have law enforcement powers and will be in a designated uniform displaying the Class 3 patch. I will bring more information to our next Personnel Committee meeting, and I know Mr. Smith will do the same for the Finance Committee. In the meantime, the police department is taking the initiative to have a police officer outside of school during morning entry and dismissal. We've been in constant contact with our principals and working with the police department. Again, if we do not have a uniformed police officer, we would like them to send a detective over, so we do have that during our morning entry and dismissal. The police department, as Dr. Wanko stated, instituted a park and walk program, which we thank them for, where the cops will pull up to a school, park their vehicle outside, and walk the building. We will continue to evaluate our facilities, procedures, and personnel, and bring suggestions to the board and our committees. We have been receiving great suggestions from our board members and our entire Bayonne Public School family, and we will continue to make our students and staff safety our #1 priority.
Are we getting any money for the retired cops from anywhere? Is the state giving us anything?
At this point, the city is going to pay for those police officers if we go that route.
A question and a comment, 2 comments. Outstanding work in a short period of time, and this is exactly what we wanted to hear. I witnessed up at Washington this morning, at about 8:10, the officer pulled up and started. So that was comforting too. But the law enforcement, the retired police officers in the schools, those uniforms will clearly give an impression of law enforcement.
Yes, that
Because
uniform would...
other than that, I'd prefer an active cop. I think the uniform is also a deterrent. It's a real presence, so I'd like it to be like really noticeable.
One of the requirements would be that they do have to be in uniform and they have to have that Class 3 patch, and it was very clear in the meeting, and Dr. Wanko stated it, that we would have to be comfortable and accept what uniform that police officer would be wearing, since they would be working in our school.
Mr. Cook,
Good
I have one
work.
question on that. Will there be any kind of special training for these retired officers?
They have 1 year to, and they have to be trained in the SRO, and they have a 12-month period where they have to be trained.
What's SRO, please?
School resource officer.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And, Mr. Carey, who does a wonderful job in security, I'm the school safety specialist. As you know, I was designated. That's a state requirement. Mr. Carey will be attending those with us because he is an ex-law enforcement, and we take all of his suggestions. He's been doing a great job. We are also reaching out, if you've been hearing, a lot of school districts, and there's been a lot of talk about systems such as ALICE. ALICE is used in some districts, a few in New Jersey. Some are going to a hybrid where they use New Jersey state guidelines and then something as a, run, hide, or fight. That would be something that we would have to look into and/or practice. But that would be, something that we would have to be comfortable. So if you hear anything about ALICE, we will be actually attending a workshop and a training to see if that would be something that we would be comfortable. We're looking at every avenue. Even if we don't use it, we want to make sure that there's not, one system or, procedure that we haven't, looked at. We want to take a look at everything.
Please remember, when this all began, it evolved, it morphed, it changed. Some of the early procedures were actually putting students at more danger and risk than not. For example, there was a time you had to slide under the door a red or a green piece of paper, and it would have, these students are missing, these are not. So you're letting the perpetrator know
what's going
this
on.
classroom is full of students. Some districts said, I want the outside shades up. Some said, I want the outside shades down. So that's why, as Mr. Kopes says, we're going to review all of these procedures. We're going to take the best that will fit for our situation and make a hybrid.
I'd like to just say, representing the board, there's no higher priority for us than the safety of our children. Everybody's certainly in agreement with that. A couple of things I'd just like to say. I think we're pretty lucky that we actually at this moment have, Superintendent Wanko here. He's pretty much an expert in this field. Also, our security leader, Mr. Carey over there, who's also very familiar with schools, safety, and I think that's a great benefit to all of us. I think we're in the right track, and of course, at some point we can't say everything that we would do because that wouldn't be in our best safety. So I just want to thank everybody for the hard work they're doing, and like you said, on such a short notice. So thank you.
Thank you.
The metal detectors in the high school? Weren't you the principal when they went in?
Yes.
It was your idea, wasn't it?
Yes.
We're probably ahead of a
I
lot of schools
I know
at this
Michael
moment.
was ahead of me. He was talking about security 20 years ago.
We are at industry standard or above, but that's not good enough for us.
No, I know.
Okay.
But we did start a long time ago.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, you were very forward thinking that way.
And when I was here, that's the time we put in the cameras and the mag locks and changed from the analog to the digital. There were a lot of things done. Mr. Kopes will be visiting one of my old schools where I had put in the blue room, and I think he's bringing Mr. Carey with him on that visit, and they will look at the procedures there and see if any of those would be applicable for this district.
Trustee Ryan?
First off, I'd like to again commend the staff for what happened on Monday with the false alarm, which actually was a traumatic event for our students. So that incident did happen, and so we have to treat it like that. I'm very pleased to hear an after-action review was taken. So those are positive things. To Trustee Cruden's point, I was in cops in schools for over almost 10 years, and it's an ongoing process. It's always changing. Unfortunately, a lot of our knowledge left because people retired and the city couldn't afford to keep police officers in schools. I hope between the board and the city, we can maintain a more steady presence. We shouldn't let that happen. It's just gotten to the point where we're spending money we shouldn't spend on that. We should spend it on curriculum, on teachers, but that's not the world today. So as we go forward, let's keep that in mind. This is going to be expensive. Hopefully we never use it, but we have to do it. We have no choice.
You're exactly right, but we will be using it every day because the visual is a great deterrent, as you know. So just having the metal detectors there, 3 of them we're looking at are portables so that we could use them in the stadium, we could use them in the entrance when we have basketball games. So we're looking at a lot of different things, but again, as Mr. Broderick said, some things we are not going to discuss in public because we don't want to breach security.
I'm being very general for that reason.
So now we're moving to home instruction.
Thank you, Dr. Walker.
Well, I just wanted to ask, are these special officers armed?
Yes.
They are. Okay.
Not only will,
That's why retired police officers.
not only will they be armed, but one of our requirements was that the gun would be visible.
Right.
Which is going to be a whole nother discussion for the back office with that.
Right. That's why I guess, Mary Jane, you were saying you wanted it to look more law enforcement, than security guard or something like that, yeah.
So
Okay.
these are going to be retired, not in uniform?
It
No,
will
they'll
be
be in
uniform.
We were questioning the uniform.
Class 3 is a whole new type of police officer. It's very recent. And in order to be a Class 3, you have to be a retired police officer. I don't have in front of me all the qualifications, but you will be undergoing all the firearms trainings. In addition, an average police officer does not have to be an SRO, a school resource officer. A Class 3 does because they're going to be in a school. And then there'll be other distinctions that go with it. Again, I don't have it in front of me, but they will be police officers, they will be experienced, they will have training, and then we'll go from there.
They will have
And I
uniforms
have
and hats.
used Class 3 in my other district, so I'm familiar with it, yes.
The break of service for these officers right now cannot exceed 5 years, but starting on July 1st, The break-in service may not exceed 3 years.
Okay.
After that, they would not be eligible. I do have the requirements. I will make copies for you, but if anyone would like to take a look at, Doc, would you just? Home instruction.
There's,
Any more questions on
there's
security or
additional
training?
training to deal with stressful situations and things like that. These are highly skilled, but I'm concerned about guns.
But these aren't SROs, so they won't.
Yes.
They are.
All right, so what is the plan to use them in the schools as of right now? Do we have a plan yet as far as?
Are we going to do this?
Okay, all right.
Not to tell them what we're gonna do.
No. Because I have some concerns, that's all. All right.
So are we ready for home instruction?
Yes.
Okay.
We're really excited to transform our home instruction model at the high school to an online model that is used all over the country. And the program that we have been using for our students in out-of-district placements, some of the highlights of the program are unlimited courses from Founders Education's content, exclusive access to certified teachers in each course subject area, available Monday to Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. for live one-on-one virtual instruction. If a student returns to the classroom, another student can be enrolled in that seat for no additional cost. EduSeer's personal learning coach is the single point of contact for the school, student, and parent to facilitate the setup, communicate grades, and assist with non-academic questions. This program will help us reach our 21st century learners, and will do so at half the cost as we are doing right now. Special thanks to Dr. Degnan and Debbie Whitney for all their hard work and bringing this initiative to life. It is up and running, going really well, and again, this is pretty much used all over the state and country now for home instruction. Our students in the elementary school will still have a home instructor going to their house, unless there's a special case where that student might not be able to have contact due to illness or treatment. So we could still provide home instruction where in the past we couldn't. So for every case that we have, we'll look at it as an individual basis to make sure that we're providing the best education possible for those kids that can't be with us.
One question Mr. Coe has with regard to the home instruction. What role does the classroom teacher on the high school level, because in the grammar school, but the high school, how do you keep the student on track, what's going on in that high school classroom? Does the teacher get involved in this?
Yes, they have to select the courses. They have to give the modifications, accommodations if they do, and they'll be tracking that student. Dr. Degnan sat in with the curriculum person from EduSeer. I'm just having to talk a little bit about it.
Right now, the home instruction teacher comes in, the teacher gives the work, picks it up, takes it home, they do it after school. What's good about the EduSeer is if the student wakes up in the morning, they feel good, they don't have to wait till 4 o'clock to start the program. What's the teacher's end of this now, whereas they're writing the assignments out, the modules are broken up throughout the year. So what the teacher really has to do is do a drop-down box and find out where they are along with the standards, and then set up the module for those students.
But
It's not going to be exact the curriculum, but it would
Right,
be,
right.
you're following the standards. That's the key thing.
Well, the standards, they're applicable to any area, really. Language art has its own.
Right.
But let's just say you're teaching Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, and you're on Act 2, and you want to stress the metaphors that are in scenes 1, 2, and 3. How does that transfer to EduSeer?
You may not be able to do that exactly.
Well, that's-
Right, but the idea is for that student that's home, you would be able to be closer to maybe a standard, whatever skill that's going on at that time. But I don't think you're going to be able to pinpoint it to exactly what you're doing at the same time. The advantage is also, there's a built-in virtual teacher for those students. So if there's something that you want them to go through, if you're doing a question or something, there's immediate text messaging function for those students. The other advantage is, it's leveled also for our special needs learners, our general population, and our advanced. So
Well,
that
teachers
does
do
also-
that as
Yeah.
well, they level their work for them. But my concern is, like, if you're going to do a district assessment, and like this, one of them was concerning Lord of the Flies and the allegorical aspects of it. Are they going to learn something like that and then have to not learn it and then come into the classroom and sit down for the assessment that they were not present in the classroom or to hear the classroom teacher do it?
Right. I don't think it would be as exact as you're saying.
I have a
but
concern
you got-
about that.
But the issue is a lot of these students are long-term home instruction students that might not even be in front of that student. They might not have been there since September.
I know that we
So,
have for a year that
You're-
you're not.
And that's what this does. It's a virtual seat. So what we're purchasing is a seat for that student for the year. And what they're getting with this virtual seat is, instead of 4 courses, math, English, science, social studies, you can pick up an elective. You can pick up health. You can pick up a personal financial literacy. So the seat gives us an advantage for that kid, that child that's home due to a medical, to stay on track to graduate. But again, you're right, I can't say that it's going to be exact to.
Well, one suggestion, I know we use Google Classroom, and this way the student could have, perhaps this should be discussed at a curriculum meeting.
But the other thing is, I always hear a lot too, is that, well, that student's not with me, how do I give the grade? I don't know what work they've done, but now they're following a module and it's giving the percent. So they're going to score that on their end. Yeah, so you're not putting that gray in with the teacher that have to determine what is the final grade. But you're right, I don't think it could ever be exactly what we're doing at Bayonne High School on December 1st.
It's a shame you can't do what we do when you can't leave your desk to go to a meeting and you dial in and you're just like Skyped in and you're in the active meeting at real time.
And we also have
Hold on.
the availability to do for the short term also. For the
Well,
short,
those are my concern, the short term.
Yeah.
Long term, I think the LHC would definitely work. Curriculum.
We should move this to curriculum so we can keep them. It's a good question, but
So basically, is this for all home instruction in high school level?